Okay, just going live for the live stream here as well. And we are all said and done. Let me do first a quick introduction. In the meanwhile, while I'm doing the introduction, I hope that everybody else will also be able to join, that we'll have all the judges and all the startups on board. When I look here at the participation list that I have so far, I think we have more or less everybody, maybe one or two people still missing, but I think that will work out. That shouldn't be an issue. So welcome everybody to the competition for the PIP Startup Innovation Award 2020. And here you'll learn about latest technologies, use cases. You'll find out which startup developed actually this solution, which the judges consider as a game changer for the industry. My name is Bernhard Bukovc. I'm the chairman of the Postal Innovation Platform, and it's my pleasure to guide you through today's meeting and also through tomorrow's session. Let me at this point also thank our partners, which are Swiss Post, Thierry, thank you very much, and Parcel and Post Expo. As you know, or as some of you know probably, this event should have taken place a few months ago at Parcel and Post Expo in Vienna as our annual startup competition, live competition at this event. But due to the crisis that we have, all those physical live meetings are not possible anymore. And hopefully soon again they will be possible. But for the time being, we were looking for an alternative, and we found these dates and said, okay, let's do it in January, towards the end of January. That's a little bit calmer, and let's do the competition now. Of course, in a virtual setting, as it is the imperative of the day. However, the format is more or less the same one. That means we are having, on the one hand side, the pitches, the presentations, which will take about 4 minutes, and then 4 minutes Q&A with our judges. So in total, the maximum time that each startup will have for this competition is 8 minutes. So if I want to give a tip to the startups here, the less you present, the more time you'll have for the Q&A with the judges. And I think the Q&A with the judges is really very helpful. First of all, you get a lot of feedback from them. And second of all, if there is something unclear for the judges, or if they want really to see what's the value of the value proposition of your solution, that's the time to find out for them. So 8 minutes is the total, but if you present, let's say, only 3 minutes, then you will have 5 minutes Q&A with the judges. So the 8 minutes, that's definitely yours. At the end of this day, once the pitches and the Q&A is done, we invite the judges to share their views publicly, their views on the day, on the pitches, on the solutions, to reflect a little bit on what they've heard. And well, that's for today. Tomorrow it will more or less be the same thing, with one difference. Tomorrow, after the pitches and the Q&A, plus the judges sharing their views openly, we'll have a private meeting among the judges. And in this private meeting tomorrow evening, we are going to choose the winner, and the winner will then be announced also tomorrow evening. So this is a little bit about the format. Let's now briefly see which are the startups that are going to pitch today. We have H Drones, Ship to My ID, PixoAnalytics, Optilyz, Pick and Ship, NITe, and Mr. Postman. And all of them are here as far as I can see. Let me now also introduce quickly the judges, because as you know, and if you have already participated at one of our events at Parcel and Post Expo, you know that we always have a mix of judges, most of them coming anyway from postal and logistics companies, but all of them with a very, very, very strong postal and logistics background. So that is the important thing for us, to really see the value propositions of the startups, of the solutions, how they fit into the business, and all these kind of questions that come up. We have Thierry Golliard. He's the Director Open Innovation and Venturing from Swiss Post, and he's also the chair of the judging panel. We have Brody Buhler. He's the Global Managing Director of Post and Parcel Industry of Accenture. We have Dominik Götting from Supply Chain Innovation at DHL. We have Olivier Storch. He's Executive Vice President at the Geopost Group, DPD. We have Marc Sarmiento. He is Head of Research and Innovation at Austria Post. We have Gustavo Damy, Innovation and Business Development at UPU. We have Elmar Toime, from Toime Consulting on the supervisory board of Qatar Post, former CEO of New Zealand Post, and former member of the supervisory board of DHL, among many other things. I don't go into all the details, Elmar. We have Alessandro Filigenzi, Innovation Manager at Poste Italiane. But before we start, I would like to ask Thierry here as the chair of the judging panel, what do you expect from the pitches today and tomorrow? And is there any message that you, as the chair of the judging panel, would like to give to the startups pitching today?
Yes, so first, good afternoon to everyone. And thank you, Bernhard, for organizing this award. So you know, we are all aware that startups and postal organizations are very different and might not be the obvious partners, because yes, there are challenges in such joint projects. However, based on my history at Swiss Post, and I'm convinced that we can do great stuff together and shape win-win collaborations. So with that regard and your questions, Bernhard, and as a message to the startup, that will be quite simple. Just grab the chance to exchange today with executive business experts who I am, for sure, open and willing to facilitate some concrete joint projects in their respective organization if they like your pitches. So now the ball is yours, is in your hands, and good luck to all startups.
Thank you very much, Thierry. Strong words here at the beginning and really an encouragement for all the startups which are going to pitch here today. We are going to start. First startup is H Drones, and Julien, you are going to make this presentation. I think you share your screen, you share your presentations, and once you're done, I push this little button here, which gives you the 8 minutes time limit. Are you ready?
Yeah, let me just prepare all the technical parts. So, can you see what I see?
Yes, the presentation just opened.
Okay, great. And can you hear me clearly? I guess it's fine.
We can also hear you clearly. The floor is yours.
Super. So I will start. So first of all, thank you very much for inviting H Drones. It's super nice to see all the people in the logistic area. H Drones is a cooperation of 6 friends meet in university who faced the same issue. One of our relatives were impacted by a chronic disease, and it was extremely hard to get medicine into this remote area we were living in. Sorry. So from that, we understood that there is a need for another delivery system. We really would like, the base when we started 4 years ago was to provide an access of medicine supply to anybody living in a remote area. And the drones seems to be the best tools to achieve this mission. The main problem are, from the pharmaceutic point of view, it's the desertification of them. Our activity are mainly based in France, and the country itself gather a lot of communes, 36,000 of them, and most of them don't have any pharmacies. And 22% of the population live into this remote area. Those are our targets. The market itself is rather big, and there is a clear demand for people to get their medicine delivery by any means, especially for people with a lack of mobility, which are quite significant. I would like to emphasize what we are doing in H Drones. We are an operator. We started 4 years ago creating our own drones. We would like to do everything by ourselves, but we quickly figure out that actually people are way better off. People are better in building drones or doing hardware stuff. We decided to focus our activities into operation. We therefore lay out the logistic infrastructure to connect offices with the customer. For example, one of our pilots can supervise a fleet of 7 drones. So drones take off from an office and go directly to the customer door. I don't think we have enough time to go through all the details of the drone, but if you are interested, I can definitely share with you the numbers that we gathered. It's definitely faster, it's cheaper for the industries, especially for the pharmaceutic, and it's more an ecological means. The drone itself can carry up to 3 kilos and go over like 10 kilometers of radius, which therefore can it's a pretty convincing tools, I would say, as we can cover almost an 80% of the population thanks to our hubs that I will introduce later. Something that I would like to emphasize on in case of in case of bad weather, sorry, we have a contact with PSA, Peugeot Citroën, to manage delivery by cars. That's the hubs I was talking about. When we implement our solution, mostly now with Marys, they buy from us a hub, which is a delivery system where the drones can automatically land on and drop the parcel. Someone can just come up. I mean, someone with the QR code comes, pass the QR code, the box open here, and the consumer can grab its parcel. We are right now working with communes. The next one is Vinzieux in February. It's a very relevant business model as the communes buy our service and our logistic expertise, get the hub, get more attractiveness into the commune itself, and most of them don't have pharmacies industry, so they can get medicine from hospital around or other pharmacies directly into their commune. We are definitely we are targeting the last mile delivery challenge, the last mile delivery, which is a challenge for most of the current companies. I can share with you the numbers afterwards. This is our offer. It's currently on display. I think I can talk about it during the question. The scope of application are broad, but it's not the case now. And this is our team, Alessandro, the president. We are 6 of us right now. And that's all. Oh, just I would like to mention we are also partner with other company. As I say, since we don't do our own hardware, we do it with other companies. We are with Event Drones in Israel or Phoenix in Germany, and they build up very super nice helicopter or bigger drones that we can use also to deliver in humanitarian mission in Africa. We are working with Orange Fab in Senegal right now and Phoenix Wing. That's all for me.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much, Julien. It's time for the judges, so it's up to you now to kind of find out a bit more about this solution. Who wants to start? Shall I hand over to you, Thierry, maybe as the chair of the judging panel for the very first question?
Yes, happy to ask the first question. So, Julien, thank you for your pitch. And what's your vision regarding drones logistics in 5-10 years?
In 5-10 years, right now, what is coming to be amazing is the harmonization of the European sky. Therefore, when we immatriculate or homologate our drone in France, I can make it fly in Germany. So the first step are extremely hard, especially to, I would say, convince the population, convince the partners. However, we are working on that now, and the technology is already here to enable in 10 years a constant flow of fleets of drones in most of the European country. So as this is the market, my vision is in Europe so far.
Thank you.
I would have a question. So when looking into drones, mostly one of the main issues that you stumble upon is like regulations, as they're like not only from country to country but also region to region very differently, and it's a lot of administration work and things like this. How do you deal with that, or especially if you want to scale up, how do you want to deal with that in the future?
It's a complex regulation indeed, as each country has its own authority. In France, we have the DGSE. In Germany, everybody has its own authority. However, as I mentioned, since the 1st January of 2021, the European sky will be harmonized. So when I prove to the DGSE that I can fly in France. I can go to Germany with my partner and also in Germany. So this will become much more flexible with that. Now the biggest challenge make the operation work and be the first one to operate, to set up the routes with the with the relevant authorization of the country.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Julien. The 8 minutes are over. So I'm sure that not all judges will always ask each startup. but we'll have a turnaround here, and don't worry, all the judges will be involved anyway. Let's go to our next startup. Our next startup is Ship2My-ID, and as speakers we have here 2 speakers actually, which is first of all Santosh Gopal, the founder of Ship2My-ID, and Kush Santosh, who kind of was triggering the idea of developing the solution. Kush and Santosh, are you ready? Kush, I think you are going to make the presentation as far as I understand, right?
Yeah, I just need to share the screen really quickly. Oh, wait, 1 second.
Yes, it works.
Can you guys see it?
Yes, I can see the first slide. Mm-hmm.
Can I start?
Please start, yes.
Hi, my name is Kush Santosh, and I'm the co-inventor of Ship2My-ID. Today, I'm going to talk to you about cross-border e-commerce. First, let me talk to you about why cross-border e-commerce has become important. As per analysts, in 2020, there are almost $900 billion worth of cross-border transactions. This number is also projected to grow to $5 trillion by 2027. Now let's take a look at some of the challenges of cross-border e-commerce. Less than 0.001% of online stores are enabled for cross-border checkout. There are over 150 languages and over 200 different address formats, which makes it very difficult to accept addresses and validate them. Cross-border have usually the highest or a higher percentage of fraudulent transactions because it is difficult to validate the consumer and their address. In addition, the latest EU VAT legislation and global tax enforcement mandates certain critical compliance changes for cross-border transaction, and it starts July 1st, 2021. This is our biggest opportunity. As you know, Ship2My-ID is a platform that allows shipping to a digital address. It is like PayPal for shipping, but a little more. Since most of you are already aware of what we do, we'll now focus on how Ship2My-ID enables cross-border transactions. Let me give you the example of the Robinson store from Thailand. Currently, they don't allow cross-border transactions. However, if we were partners with the Robinson store, we'd put our universal login button on their website. When you click that button, a pop-up will appear. Depending on which country you are in, the pop-up will be in that language. All you need to do is give your username and password. You do not need to provide your address at all. This information is then sent from the Ship2My-ID backend directly to the Robinson store servers. There are 2 options. Either all of the buyer's information is sent, or we only send enough information for them to calculate the taxes. No PII will be shared. Once the merchant receives this information, the engine will calculate all the different cost elements, including price, VAT, insurance, customs, and shipping costs. Once you pay the money, we generate a unique QR code for that particular transaction. This QR code can be applied as a shipping label to the product. The QR code carries all the transaction-related information. The best part of this QR code is that depending on who scans the QR code, they will only see the part of the data that applies to them. This helps with keeping the customer's data private and yet shared across all the parties. This QR code could contain recipients and buyers' information, details of the building location. It could be used by sorting machines. It could contain all the valuable cross-border information for the transaction, like the VAT, customs, and depending on where it's scanned, it can print labels in the local language so it's easier for them to deliver. This QR code is then exchanged with all the parties in the transaction, like the e-commerce store, manufacturer, insurance, and tax authorities, delivery companies, and customs. We have partnered with a company to build a payment solution, Smart Edge, that can take care of all the compliance filings. We are a 100% API-based company, so we can pretty much integrate with any ecosystem partner of shipping and logistics. We are exploring partnering with 3 different types of organizations. One would be e-commerce companies, where people could download a plugin and self-enable cross-border. We're also exploring a partnership with national post offices and larger logistics carriers. And lastly, we will also plan to partner with payment solutions like PayPal and SmartEdge. We believe that Ship2ID can really boost cross-border transactions. For consumers, it gives them 100% privacy and they can purchase stuff from anywhere in the world. Brands and merchants will get more business because by leveraging the universal login, almost every merchant can get converted into a cross-border online store. And lastly, post office and shipping companies will get more business that they would not have gotten previously. Thank you. Are there any questions? Our CEO, Santosh Gopal, will be answering them.
Thank you, Kush. Well, back to the judges. Who wants to ask the first question?
Hi, Santosh, Elmar.
Hi, Elmar.
Hi, good to see you again. If I want something shipped to me, do I have to register with you, or is it the sender who is doing the registration?
So both need to be registered. When we log it, when we create a Ship2ID button, every merchant has to be registered. We validate with their credentials, are they genuine company, their standing, their export records, and then we give them permission. Then consumer has to register with Ship2ID, yes, but he can do just at the merchant site. He doesn't need to pre-register. When they want to buy, they just go, and when you click the button, it will give you options, either sign in or create an account. When you create an account, if you are in whichever country you are in, it stays only in that server. Your data does not go outside to foreign countries.
And in a legal sense, who is the import agent? So what I mean to say is, if the sender misrepresents the value of the goods, which happens quite frequently, you don't particularly know that, but if customs discovers that, who do they approach? Who is the sort of customs importer?
Sure. The traditional business will continue because we are just providing an interface for addressless shipping and validation of individuals and identity from the buyer perspective. The merchant of record stays with the merchant and they're 100% responsible for all the compliance activities. What we bring to the table is additional value of validating an individual with the cell phone, email, and location, and also validate the address, so it reduces fraudulent transaction and makes it easier for people to just buy, click and buy. You don't need to worry about entering address in different formats.
Thank you.
Hey, Santosh, a quick question for me.
Sure.
And great presentation. It looks like a very interesting product. What's the monetization model? Who pays what?
Yeah, the merchant pays us because he's getting new business, which is not possible, and will work mostly on a percentage of transaction or a fixed fee, depending on the merchant. So the consumer doesn't have to pay anything at all. That's the key part.
Okay. And the delivery company, how do they know to deliver it to my address? Is that by scanning the QR code?
Yes. So for example, let's take an example of e-commerce being in Egypt. And when you click in it, if Egypt Post is sending it, they will they'll create a QR code. And when they're shipping to US or any country, they will print a label based on the destination country. Everything else, business as usual.
Thank you.
Hello, I have a question. Here's Gustavo, Damy. What do you do, or do you consider when the QR code is lost or damaged, and then there is no online access to retrieve the information? I mean, do you have an alternative for these cases?
It would be just like any other shipping label. If you put the QR code on a box and ship it, then it will face the same risk of what would have happened to label. The only way what we could do is, if we know the buyer's cell phone number or email, we can quickly track which transaction it is. So this is one level of additional protection because everything is digitized. We know that QR code, when it got scanned last, if it gets between exchanging two hands, if it gets lost or damaged, then immediately a customer service could reach out to them and tell them this is the QR code and send a duplicate one online. And at the same time, all the parties will get a QR code by email and for validation as well.
Okay,
but
thank you very much, Santosh.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
The 8 minutes are done, but it was
sure.
great. I hope, Gustavo, the question is answered. We move on to the third startup. Ali, you are there, you're ready? I see you are sharing already your screen. Work swiftly. Perfect. Ali, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, so hi, my name is Ali Özigit, and welcome to our presentation. We are PixoAnalytics, and we are preventing fraud with just a piece of paper. My name is, as I said, Ali, and I'm co-founder and the CEO of PixoAnalytics. Did you know that every paper has a unique fingerprint, like people? We developed a technology that we can read fingerprint of a blank sheet of paper. Each paper sheet is unique due to the natural process of its creation, like trees, like stripe of zebras, like everything else in the nature. And when a paper is inspected deep enough, it is very similar to a barcode or a QR code. This structure allows us to create a digital fingerprint of the paper. And the good thing with paper fingerprint is that it is unique. It is non-reproducible, and it is already there for free. We have created this unique technology that can distinguish two separate sheets of blank paper without any writing or label on them. So imagine if you can see fingerprint of any paper and nobody can cheat this fingerprint. You can authenticate everything in your life. And there is a major problem in the world, and it is growing without a real solution. Like FTP, like fraud detection and prevention market worldwide is expected to grow 100% in the next 3 years, and expected to reach $64 billion US. And did you also know that crime use stamps, like organized crime use stamps to generate cash, and they are cheating postal operators. We implemented our technology to solve fake or reuse postage stamp fraud problem in German Post, like in the Deutsche Post DHL group. And we have also identified that our technology can stop $600 million fraud per year only because of fake stamps. And we are only the solution provider to solve this problem with our technology. And only USPS disclosed that they are losing more than $130 million US per year only because of this problem. And in our German Post implementation, we achieved very high detection rates based on computer vision, machine learning, and paper fingerprint. This allows a high revenue protection for the company without increasing operational costs. We also built the PixoAI artificial intelligence platform that detects the criminal activities clustering fake stamps and brings visibility to operation. We are currently piloting this solution in 2 other postal operators. And besides fake stamp detection, we are already piloting our technology in 3 more different use cases in Europe. In the first one, we are tracking and validating the votes for governmental elections, which are sent per post these days. And you know, it was a big problem some times ago in the US. And in the second one, we are using our technology for valuable document validation, such as invoice, driving license, IDs, passports. We believe that our technology and expertise can solve billion-dollar fraud problems worldwide in many other use cases. In addition to previous 3 use cases, we have identified another 2 use cases: fake medicine recognition and expensive art product validation. In both cases, we do not need to change or add anything to these products in production. We just use the natural fingerprint. And we have extensive innovation and automation expertise from the international companies like myself, DHL, Amazon, Deloitte, Bosch and Siemens, and we have a great team supporting us. And we also have strong network for international companies. Our technology and products already received very positive feedbacks from different executives we worked with so far. And we need only a blank sheet of paper to reshape the fraud prevention industry, and we are looking for further pilot projects, and we have everything ready to go to expand our technology further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ali. Back to the judges. Who wants to start?
Hi, Ali. Marc here, Austrian Post. I have 2 questions. because I saw that you mentioned postal stamps. Do we need, or does the postal operator need specific cameras in order to capture the stamp in high quality so that you can analyze it? Because they're at high speed.
Yes.
I can respond to that question. We are currently using the cameras installed that are being used for OCR purposes. The higher the definition is, the better for identifying fraud or identifying the paper fingerprint. But our postal stamp fraud recognition currently works with OCR cameras. You are from Austrian Post, and
Yes.
actually we are in a pilot phase with Austrian Post. We actually received some images from the operations, and we are working on those images with our algorithms.
Because the colleagues, they told me they have problems with the speed of the names, but we can discuss it with the colleagues.
Exactly. That is mostly about capturing and storing the images. And with Geopost, we didn't have that because we implemented the integration.
The second question was because I saw Rolex on one of the pages. Are you thinking about offering this service also to private customers? So in case they want to buy a Rolex watch, they could send you a picture of the watch and you can detect if it's a fake watch or a real watch?
Yes, actually, this is the aim, right? So in a B2C environment, to create a smartphone app that would, take the photo of an item and say it's genuine and tell when it's produced, what kind of features does it have, or if it's fake. So this is how it would work with a wine bottle or other things.
I actually have a question. When is the ID of the paper created? Because what I do get is, of course, that every paper has its unique fingerprint. But you always need this already stored to compare it. So when is this actually done? Depending
on the use case. So, for example, in the stamp case, you can do it in production for German, for example, where there's printed with the money. You can also do it in operations for the first time you see it. If you're thinking about a reuse identification case, you first see and create a fingerprint, and then for the second time you just check if that fingerprint exists in your database. So it's all about how you want to implement and use it.
Yeah, and we only need about 1 centimeter square in the given paper to create 128-bit code. So we are not keeping the pictures, and it is very easy for us to scale billions of parcels or mail.
Excuse me, do you have any issues in case the paper is spoiled or written?
Depending on the share of this being spoiled, I think depending on how accurate you want to be, you can go up to 60% damage and still identify the paper. Then you can give up some of the storage requirements. You can store more code or a longer code. If you think that would be a case, like in stamps, that's more of an issue compared to if you are tracking paper from a source to your first operational sorting.
Do you have time for a final question?
Not really, Thierry.
Okay. I respect time management. No worries.
You can get in touch, of course, with Ali and Boris after.
Sorry, Bernhard.
After the
Go
competition. The 8 minutes are over. We have to move to the next one, which is Optilyze. Martin, are you there? You're there, I see.
Yeah. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. Let me share my screen. Let's see if I presentation. Now I share. Okay, can you see
it? Opens.
Yeah,
it looks good. Yes, we can see your title slide.
So, hi,
get started.
Welcome everyone. I'm Martin. I'm the founder and managing director of Optilyze, and I'll be talking about the future of direct mail. You're from the postal background. I think my advantage today is I don't need to tell you what direct mail is, which is unfortunately mostly the topic I need to start with. So direct mail is, as you all know, still a highly relevant market and direct marketing channel, but has come under a lot of pressure recently, or in the last 10 years. With Optilyze, we turn direct mail into a performance channel. We do this by offering automation, personalization, and cross-channel integration with our software platform. We're around 35 people sitting in Germany and Eastern Europe, and we're building on two major marketing trends. One is marketing automation, and the other one is the uprise of digital print. Marketing automation enables customers to run their CRM across channels. So you are able to integrate email, other digital channels, but you're also able to integrate direct mail. And with Optilyze, you're able to offer cross-channel marketing to your customers. Digital print, on the other hand side, offers personalization options, one-to-one personalization, things that weren't possible in the past. You would not run your email marketing with Outlook and send the same email to everyone. You would use a software to send individualized and personalized mails. We are, and that's the fascinating thing, we are in a 50 billion euro market. So direct mail is still the third largest marketing channel in Europe, and I think you as postal service providers know this best. It's a highly relevant channel, but things like catalogs and mass mailings are under pressure. With Optilyze, we now enable customers to improve the performance of the channel by more than 50%. We do this by enabling A/B testing, by enabling cross-channel communication, by enabling personalization. These are all things that are usual and common in all digital channels, but not common in the direct mail channel. Our customers today, mostly in Germany and Switzerland, include major retailers, but obviously also the largest e-commerce players in the market. One of them, e-commerce, is kind of new to the game, but also retailers are looking for alternatives how to still reach the customers. The good thing is, on the one hand side, GDPR doesn't affect us. We are in our opt-out channel, so we can basically send to everybody in your customer database. And the other thing is that with the lockdown and everyone being at home, we've seen increased performance recently. We're now looking to expand to the UK throughout the year, and we normally work closely with postal service providers. We have cooperations with Swiss Post, with Austrian Post, but also with our only competitor in the European market, this German postal service, which still support us heavily in the German market. There is an increased need for personalization, and why would you send something very personalized in a digital context, but not do the same in direct mail? So how could this look like if you look at cross-channel communication, and how exciting is it to have a physical channel alongside all the digital world? You can send, you have an event, let's keep a simple one, it's a birthday. You either have an opt-in or you don't. If you have one, yes, why not send an email and see if the customer reacts? If the customer doesn't react, you send, you try to trigger him via display marketing or social channels. And then you decide whether he's worth sending a direct mail. So you have very targeted and very specific ROI-oriented mechanisms to see if this is really a channel, a customer you want to reach offline. We do this by integrating with partners like Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and this is the main driver of our success right now. So we're Europe's leading direct mail software and want to help postal service providers bring the channel into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. Back to the judges. Who wants to start with the first question?
Martin, I have a question for you. Quick, just make sure I understand the product. This is programmatic direct mail, essentially. So an online event triggers the creation of a direct mail piece.
No, it's not. Not at least in the way that I understand programmatic. So it's not that you match a cookie or anything. What we are involved in is CRM-related direct mail. You would have someone in your database that you want to target and you want to reactivate him. You have a customer journey, reactivation, second order push, birthday mailing. You have certain journeys that you are trying to run, and you combine digital and physical channels to get the customer back or get him to repurchase. So it's not triggered by a cookie, but it's triggered by data that you have in your CRM system, like Salesforce Marketing Cloud, eMarsys, HubSpot, or whatever, to then trigger a direct mail. It's similar, but it's not triggered by a cookie, for example, that you have on a website.
Excellent, thank you.
Further questions? We still have 2 minutes to go.
Can't be that clear, right? Huh?
Also clear, yes.
Hi, this is.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. This is Gustavo. I have a quick question. Nowadays, LinkedIn is the default professional network worldwide. Would you consider plugging your utility to this network, or how are you in talks with LinkedIn or because it's not a CRM, it's out of the scope?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you basically answered the question already. We would look for a CRM that integrates LinkedIn, Facebook, Google Display Network, offers email marketing, and then integrate with that player. So we are open to any kind of cooperation with any kind of CRM system, but we always look for cross-channel marketing and not just integrating into one channel. And the other topic, LinkedIn doesn't have addresses. At the end, all our postal service providers are partners because they deliver the mail. So you need to have a system and a player that has addresses at the end, because otherwise I can't reach you.
Okay, thanks.
Robert, you had another question?
Yeah, the other question I had was, so how would a postal organization use this? I get the retailer, and if you have a big customer.
So the main reason why postal service providers cooperate with us, and I can talk about Swiss Post and Austrian Post here, is that they want to offer their customers a way into the future with direct mail. There's lots of, so we talked in the past to, or postal service providers talk to print professionals in the companies. Today you have a CRM manager who manages all the digital channels, and suddenly they are also responsible for direct mail. Now, you don't really have the contact to talk to that person, and you need a reason to go there and explain to them that direct mail is still a relevant channel. So you can really push something new and something more targeted and very ROI positive to your customers, and making sure that even in the future, direct mail is still a highly relevant channel, because as I mentioned, large scale mailings and catalogs are a thing of the past. And will definitely decline. So you need to find a way into the future for direct mail, and that is it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Martin. Was the 8 minutes? It was excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the next presentation, which is Joseph Hyde, Pick and Ship. Joseph, you're there, I see.
Yes, I hope the sharing works and you can see.
And it works. We can see your slide.
Perfect. That's great. So thank you very much. I'm happy to talk about Pick and Ship and urban e-commerce logistics service platform. I had to keep it very short, so I can go into a lot of detail, but let me just start briefly what I mean with new generation. So I see it as a complement to the traditional postal network and with central sorting and home delivery. So what we care for is as a complement to go into the urban markets, where a lot of things are happening right now. So there's, daily we get now announced new grocery delivery services. We have a lot of last mile city logistics services coming up, and even Uber is entering here, and the food delivery companies. But actually there's not an efficient logistics system to run these type of businesses in cities. And that's where, obviously Pick and Ship has a great starting point, because what we do is multi-purpose robotics, a containerized transport and storage of goods and shipments. And so we are actually made for this to be kind of multi-purpose. Now, let me briefly give you an overview. So basically what we do is that shipments are not stacked on trolleys, but they're basically put into either smart boxes. This can be a cardboard box that is put into a smart box, or direct products are placed into smart boxes. These smart boxes have support rails, and by those they can be flexibly stored into trolleys. So there's no stacking, and each shipment in a trolley is always individually accessible. So you don't have to resort the whole trolley to get an additional, a single shipment out of that. So containerization is a first important step, which gives high density and much faster and automated handling possibility. Second, it's a streamlined, we can do streamlined fulfillment because those robots can sort, but also can support the fulfillment and picking processes. We also support the delivery, of course, not only because we can sort, but because these fine sorted trolleys don't have to be loaded by hand into trucks, but you can basically move a trolley into a truck and you can pick from a trolley individual shipments without resorting or searching in a pile of shipments. The system is flexibly scalable, so it's mobile. We just have trolleys with boxes and we have sorting robots. So basically an empty space can be set up, started very small and, depending on the use case, increased faster. So basically we have three components. It's boxes with trolleys, it's the sorting or handling robots, and it's the software that basically runs the system. We see a step change in performance that we will achieve. Lower cost, much lower space that we need, and we are much more flexible also for small setups. And obviously, if you run with the multi-use smart boxes, we have a massive reduction of packaging waste. So how could you, how does that look like if I say urban service platform? So the idea is basically to have an urban logistics partner that is powered by the pick and ship trolleys and sorting machines or sorting robots. And he can either just do a parcel service, can have a small unit, or he can add a pickup or fulfillment services to it. He could also offer ship from store, also for kind of as a service for the remaining physical shops that are around, and also B2B replenishment. As I said, we have multi-purpose robotics to do the handling work, and we also enable efficient, sustainable deliveries because we can have flexible route planning because there's nothing stacked on top of each other. There's new businesses that we see coming up. We call it circular services. This is on the one hand the multi-use packaging, but mainly it's returns and especially refill. So all the materials, cosmetics and soaps, all the stuff that we buy today in throwaway packaging could be done in refill. And there's all these resell and rental and recycle markets that are coming up where we think that these urban, logistics centers could play a great role. And the objective is to have a 24/7 flexibly multi-use facility that is not only used a couple of hours, but is used during the day and the night for different purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. And again, back to the judges. Who wants to ask the first question?
Maybe, yeah, Olivier Storch, if you can hear me. I have two questions. First is, how many centers have you deployed in so far in Europe? And second question, your service looks like other kind of B storage, such as AutoStore, Ocado, and so forth. What are your key selling points in your opinion?
Yes. First of all, we are building the first demonstration center right now. So we don't have many centers in place. Reason is that we build hardware and software. And so it took a bit more time than it would do if we would just have done software, for example. If you compare it to an AutoStore system, the difference is that we're just faster because in AutoStore, you always have to, they're stacked on top of each other. So you have to kind of always, especially if you have a lot of products, there might be some resorting you need to do. In our case, the robot basically drives to a trolley and takes it out. You could compare it, for example, to the goods to man system of Amazon, which were the first to do it. There you basically have to bring a trolley for one product, luckily maybe two, and then drive it back. In our case, actually, the robot drives through an aisle and picks all the boxes that we need for a fulfillment job and then brings it back. So we have actually a lot of multi-handling and are much faster by that. And if you generally compare, we just are a mobile system that you can flexibly scale. You add trolleys and robots depending on the room you have or the size you have.
I would actually have a question. So from what it seems, it's quite an investment heavy thing you're doing there, especially when you're saying you're also building the hardware. So what's your commercial model looking like? Whom you're going to charge in the end? The postal companies or logistics companies, the end consumer? Who's bringing in the revenue in the end?
So the revenue model is basically sale and rental of hardware and software, right? Could be logistics as a service. That's our business model. For the customers, the investment is actually much lower than if you compare it to a micro sorting center or something like that. If you compare it to traditional, automated systems, we are probably, we have savings in the range of 30 to 50, 60%, depending on what you compare it to in terms of automation level. So we are very competitive in terms of the economics. And very flexible how to scale. So that also means you don't have to take a 5 million micro sorting center decision, but you can say, okay, let's start with 150, 200, and scale as we need it.
Okay.
If no one else has a question, just a very quick one from. So the robots you built yourself as well?
Yes, the sorting robot. The sorting robot is a core part of our system. We don't build the driving ourselves, so we use existing HEVs, but that basically drive our robot.
Excuse me, what I didn't get for
Alessandro.
Yes,
Alessandro, the 8 minutes are done.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
For the next one.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Let's move to Adolfo Santoro, NITe. Adolfo, you're here. Adolfo? I see that you share the screen, but we can't hear you, or I can't hear you at least.
Me neither.
Adolfo? I see your microphone is on green, so in principle, that's a good sign. Can you try to say something? Apparently, I think you are trying to say something, but we can't hear you. Okay, if Adolfo has some technical issues right now, Adolfo, maybe you try with your microphone to get things done. Can we move maybe to the next presentation? Patrick Giesen, Mr. Postman. Patrick, would you be ready to make the presentation now? Patrick? I see you're getting ready. That's good. Patrick, could you make the presentation now? Would that be possible? We can't hear you either, by the way.
Can you hear me?
Adolfo?
Yeah.
Okay, so Patrick, maybe you wait a second. We now can hear Adolfo. So
Okay, great.
Please, Adolfo, let's.
Thanks. I think that can you see my slides?
I can also see your slide. That is perfect. Please get started.
Okay, great. So, hi everyone. I'm Adolfo. I'm CEO and co-founder of Natural Intelligent Technologies. At NITe, we build reading machines with artificial intelligence. About 8 years ago, myself and my research group, after a research project in collaboration with LSAC Datamat, former system integrator of Poste Italiane, we decided to start up our spin-off company in order to put our AI technologies on the market. Today, we are an innovative SME working in ICT sector of pattern recognition and artificial intelligence. So, postal dispatching process, that is the process of digitizing and written envelope, extract information from them, and automatically dispatched to the correct destination is still manual at 40%. Moreover, some data issues could happen, such as data missing when some information are not present into the documents, data inconsistency when the extracted information are contrasting, and more importantly, data privacy, strictly related to the video coding process that occurs when some data could be maliciously used outside the company. So the solution is our AI technology for handwriting recognition that is a proprietary and internationally patented technology that uses a completely new approach. It's a writer, language, and alphabet independent, uses a small size training set in order to train the system, and performs dynamic access to the lexicon. Our technology has several competitive advantages, such as high efficiency with a state-of-the-art recognition accuracy, high scalability with the capacity to work both alone and combined with other technologies, and the reduction of training times and setup costs for set up the AI. We have more than 10 customers in 6 different countries, in several verticals, such as enterprise services, logistics, postal automation, insurance, and so on. The business model is based on on-premise traditional offer for large and medium companies, and software as a service cloud offer for small and medium enterprises. Moreover, we are setting up a partners and distributor network in order to license and integrating our SDK. Today, I'm going to show you a case study of applying our AI technology to postal automation. Well, we were one of 10 winners out of 300 projects of Post Venture 2017 program organized by Swiss Post. Well, 1 year later, we did a POC in order to make the postal dispatching process more efficient. We planned to correctly recover about 5% of rejects that are handwritten envelopes that are not correctly processed and that need to go to manual video coding. Well, the impact of our AI solution was very promising, as we were able to correctly dispatch more than 12% of rejects, in average 100K envelopes per year, with a reduction of processing time of about 75%. But more importantly, with an estimating savings from 3 to 4 million euros per year, and with an estimated ROI from 6 to 8 months for postal operators. Well, during our young life, we won several national and international awards and prizes, as you can see in the slide. Thanks for your attention. I will be glad to answer to your question.
Thank you very much, Adolfo. I think there was a slight problem with seeing your slides. We now see the last slide, and first we only saw the first slide at least. And I think on YouTube, for those watching through YouTube, yes, the judges saw at least more than you did. On YouTube, apparently the slides were not shown, but now we can see your slides. Now you,
okay.
I don't know what happened before, but it doesn't matter. We've all heard you quite well and clear. So I'd leave it now to the judges, because probably there are some questions since there were some issues with the slides. Please, the floor is yours, judges.
Yes, thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Adolfo, for the pitch. I do have one question. You mentioned several verticals. So what are the most promising verticals and use cases for you?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the question. Well, one is for sure the logistics. Logistics sector, where are a lot of still a lot of work to do in order to digitize the complete process of, for instance, dispatching the documents or just processing the handwritten documents. So the most important one is, I think, logistics, and also insurance sector. Because in the insurance sector, there are a lot of documents and written documents that are going to be digitized.
Okay.
Hi, Marc here speaking, Austrian Post. Just a quick question. How long does it normally take for you to learn a language and specific writing design?
Yeah, thanks for the interesting question. Well, one of our competitive advantage is to use a small size training set in order to train the system. So we are talking about less than a few thousand of images in order to learn a new language and build a new lexicon for another language or another alphabet.
Okay. Do we have another question for Adolfo? No more questions? Okay, then thank you very much, Adolfo.
Thank you.
And we move to our last presentation, which is Patrick. We can see your slides. We can see your image.
So can you hear
yes,
me
we
now?
can.
Oh, okay. So I have to download the app in the web browser. It wasn't so good. So yeah, thank you for the invitation. And Mr. Postman, I'm the founder. My name is Patrick Giesen, and yeah, first we started with an Uber system for parcels, but right now the Mr. Postman platform has developed to yeah, smart city solution. Freelancers pick up the parcels from parcel shops or packing station for the recipients and delivers them to their front door to a desired time. These drivers can also pick up returns and frank parcels and bring it for the customers to the parcel shops from the service providers. And the delivery and collecting location and the time is always set by the customers. The freelancers should integrate the delivery and pickup service into their daily routine in order to prevent unnecessary trips. The courier service is mostly done by permanent drivers, and our biggest advantage are the delivery times from Monday to Sunday between 6 o'clock in the morning and 10 o'clock in the evening. So everybody of you knows the problems in many cases when the delivery is not possible. The parcels are dropped at parcel stores or picking stations and have to be picked up there by the end consumer. And with the growing e-commerce, the number of returns is always also rising. And the end consumer can pay a fee to have their parcels picked up at the front door, or they have to go to the parcel shops and bring it there. At the same time, the retail trade is suffering strongly from the growth of the online retailers, and as a result, in many cities, the shops are closing. This do not affect only fashion shops; it affects also pharmacies and medical supply stores. So our solution for the traffic cows and the flood of parcels is a neighborhood delivery service. So the community takes charge of the delivery and collection by itself, and the advantage is that there are no unnecessary trips, and the freelancers can decide which means of transports they want to use for the trips. The delivery can be carried out by bicycle, scooters, car, or by food. And in this way, we want to reduce CO2 emissions. And for our courier service, we only use electronic transporters or cargo bikes. And we want to support the retailers with a same-day delivery solution. Our product currently offers 3 services. This is one's a delivery service from parcel shops and packing stations, the pickup service, and the courier service. And we think that it's more economical and ecological as well, because we relieve the parcel service providers. There's less traffic volume in the city, and for our consumers it's more time and less stress by going in the parcel shops. So the market is, we have 65% of the packages in the B2C sectors, 70% are not delivered and were dropped in stores or stations, and we have around about 330 million returns. Our business model is that we take €1.50 fixed cost and 50 cents per kilometer for delivery, €2 fixed cost for the returns and frank parcels, and €3.50 fixed price for the courier service and 50 cents per kilometer for delivery. Yeah, our team, we are 3 persons right now. It's one Sebastian and Frank and me as a founder. And our vision is that in the future, B2C parcels will only delivered in packing stations and shops, and the community will organize itself by distributing all deliveries. This would relieve the roads, and the transport is taken by drivers who move around in this region anyway. And for the inner city courier deliveries, we wish us that only cargo bikes and electric transporters were used. So thanks for your attention, and I look forward for your questions.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Back to the judges. Who wants to ask the first question?
I just had one. How does the person who wants the parcel authenticate to whoever's holding it that this courier, this person can come and pick it up? How does that work?
Yeah, we take the power of attorney from each parcel service provider, and we put the name of the freelancer on this power of attorney, and with this he could go to the parcel shops and carry it.
I would actually have a question, Patrick. You said it yourself, you kind of want to Uberize the last mile. I mean, we know some issues Uber is already facing that could definitely apply to you as well. So how would we, 2 questions actually, how would we freelancers be employed? So how do you ensure that there's enough people? Because you said that you want to target a one day delivery. And especially in the beginning, this is probably something that you can rarely meet if there's not enough freelancers at hand.
So for the courier service, we look for permanent drivers, and if there are not enough freelancers, we will take the deliveries by our own drivers. We want to we want to save that the delivery is done on the same day. That's our goal. And the second question was?
No, it was more or less how are they employed, and then how do you want to ensure? So you answered both. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Any further question to Patrick? No, Thierry, please.
May jump in. Question regarding the traction on the market. How many iTeams have you been delivered, for instance, last year?
So we started last year in March in the pandemic. Right now we launched our product, and we spent all of our time in develop the platform right now. So we started with returns in July and with a courier service in November. Actually, we sent a little bit more than 500 parcels about our platform.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Patrick. Again, that was the 8 minutes. It was good. Thank you very much. I hope the questions also clarified some of the issues that the judges had, some of the questions that they've seen, and I would now like to start a small discussion among the judges, getting your feedback about this first round. I mean, today we have the first round, 7 startups. Tomorrow we have the second round with 6 startups. Before we come to the final voting, But what I now would like to do is really to get your feedback, your impressions, to reflect a little bit on this first session that we had. Maybe you can share your views, your impressions on the pitches that we have seen today. Do you consider the proposed solutions that you have seen today as innovative solutions? Do they address real market needs? How would you position them, reflecting on those ones? Who wants to start? Maybe the chair of the judging panel. It was always a good target here to start with. Thierry.
No, it might be somebody else, but happy to start. I think generally it was a good mix of startups with very different development stages, maturity levels, and market tractions. Also, due to this diversity, I have to confess that it was not always easy to compare and benchmark the startups. On those solutions presented, I think most match the current needs of the industry. With that regard, it was quite interesting to hear many times some innovation and growth areas that most of the postal organization have, like last mile logistics or robotics automation. And about a solution in particular, Optilize, of course, is a solution we strongly believe in because we financially invested in the startup. Therefore, I would like to mention another one. And I think PixoAnalytics, for me, also it's quite still early stage. It's really innovative from a technological point of view. And yes, the future will see if they could materialize this technological edge in profitability. But I wish them anyway good luck. So that was my general takeaway.
Thank you very much, Thierry. Who wants to go second? Who wants to share his views on what we have seen today?
Bernhard, just waiting for others.
Please, Elmar.
The first thing, of course, as Thierry just mentioned, competent presentations, good to keep within the time, and that idea of that high-level pitch is very important. Just to remind that the way that we think about it is in terms of those headings of innovation, value, and impact. And so, when we think of the innovation side, some of these general ideas we've heard before, there are other people using those, etc. And so the innovation might be in the specific technology and the advantages and the insights, perhaps not so much in the idea. In terms of value, that can be looked at in several ways. As a startup, is this going to generate value that's going to interest investors? And if it generates that value, then it's delivering value for the services that are provided. And so I'm thinking with these startups, the value they're going to deliver in terms of an investor or the market. And then finally, impact. Is this a big deal? Is this going to change an industry sector? Is this something so interesting or new that it will be seized on by other players? And that's always the hardest thing to say, because there are a lot of very, very clever ideas, and the imagination to see how they're going to work in the marketplace is the fantastic skill. And I think not everyone can deliver on that. So that's the high-level view of how I looked at each of these cases. Then the next part that I looked at, and where I had the difficulty, and was understanding the full chain, the logistics chain of how this particular innovation worked, so that at the beginning point, we just take that question of registering every piece of paper and every stamp with its unique footprint, its unique picture, and then how that is then used, what sort of technologies are used later on. The questions were asked, what sort of camera skill is needed, how does it go to the end, at what stage is it viewed, things like that. And I felt that in terms of the presentations, not everyone answered that line of activity that the innovation, that the service being provided, how does it start? Who is initiating the start? What systems are needed at that point? And then what's needed throughout for the conclusion of the service? And I felt in some cases that wasn't clear enough in the 4 minutes of presentation. But there's certainly a lot for me to think about as I sort of rate in the future. Anyway, thanks.
Thanks, Elmar. Who wants to go next?
Marc here, Austrian Post. I think we had an interesting afternoon with the 7 companies today, and tomorrow there are another 6 companies following to present their ideas and their innovative solutions. What they all have in common is they are based in logistic solutions, but I find it interesting to see the diverse panel from the judges. And I think it will be a very difficult task tomorrow to compare one solution to another one, because I'm finding it hard to discuss the same topics within one company and exchanging our thoughts within this judging panel across different companies, countries, and so on. It will be a very interesting discussion to do tomorrow. Also because not only they are in different stages of the development, but it's not always easy to have a hardware company that builds drones to compare with a software company who reads handwriting, and then you have a service provider company who sends out employees or enables uberization of the last mile. So I think what will be interesting is to have the insights of the judges from each of the companies that are represented here.
Thanks, Marc. Yeah, you're right. It's a challenge. That's what it shall be. Who wants to go next?
Olivier from
please.
DPD Group, maybe, yes. As our chairman said, it's very vibrant. We can see the heterogeneity of the solutions that are being proposed. So that's nice to see the variety of that. One thing that I would like to add is that in most instances, those solutions are not completely innovative. Lots of them are kind of, I would not say copycatting, but mirroring some already existing startups that can be either nascent or already deployed. And one thing that might be missing from the presentation is what is the key differentiator? Why would they succeed versus the competition? From allowing cross-bordering, I can name 5 companies doing that. Drone companies, I can name 5 companies, and it's the same in most sectors. What are the key differentiators? What is the unique value proposal? That is something that, in my opinion, is a bit missing in the presentations. These presentations are well-rounded. Everybody knows what is the global scale of the problem that they're trying to assess, what makes them unique in the solution they bring. And on a personal level, I was particularly interested in 2 of those. In my opinion, PixoAnalytics, as mentioned already, that's creating value, and that's quite innovative, I believe. And Pick and Ship is a solution I'd be interested to dig more into versus the existing on the market.
Olivier, thank you very much. I think that was also a good message for the startups tomorrow that are pitching tomorrow. The differentiators, they have to be a bit clearer. Sometimes we don't talk really about the differentiators. That's absolutely true. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, maybe I can go next then to build up on that a little bit. I mean, the topics we heard today are definitely all of interest within the logistics, and when you're working in the field, you stumble upon like multiple providers who use this. So I think generally you can say that they all have a good sense for what's needed. What I would maybe add to Olivier's comment on was often missing, not with everyone, is and that question came often then in the Q&A at what stage these startups were. That was sometimes a bit hard to assess. It often sounded like it wasn't much more than a mere idea. So to really stress that maybe at what level you are and what's your roadmap would have helped a little bit more. But generally, very interesting ideas. And there were definitely a couple startups where I would have liked to go even deeper in discussions, because from the idea, it really interested me. But of course, there's lots more questions open there. But this is maybe something that's coming after this whole event here, then really diving deeper what next steps are there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dominik. Okay, who's next? Brody, do you want to go next?
Happy to. I thought the presentations today were interesting, well done in general, and a great set of companies. One idea perhaps for the next is, as I think about the things I like to see as we evaluate startups, there's the metrics around the monetization and growth that they've seen, and kind of where they're at in the market, some of the things that have been talked about already. And then I had some of the similar concerns that Elmar described. With the time that they had, often it was challenging to understand exactly how it worked end to end, and so perhaps a little bit more time for these pitches to give them the chance to really explain what it does and how it is different in the market. Because I think all three of those areas would be helpful to have a little bit more detail.
Okay, great feedback. Thank you very much, Brody. Gustavo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank you. So just to comment a bit on the last thing mentioned, I think innovation nowadays is complicated to have a strong foot on hardware and software, and especially the physical world and the digital world is getting closer. And I think this was reflected in the presentations today. I think they were all really good. Some of them, I think it was missing some minimum valuable products to have a more concrete information for evaluation and to assess the success or the value in the future. But I think in general they are interesting, and I was mainly attracted by the presentation from PixoAnalytics, because I think it could have a very big impact, not only on the postal industry, maybe in other industries. And as you know, I mean, now postal industry has been recognized worldwide as the key for economic worldwide. So I think PixoAnalytics and similar innovation could bring a lot of value to improve the status of the cross-border e-commerce. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Gustavo. We have one judge left from whom we haven't heard any feedback yet. Alessandro, please.
Yes. So all the ideas today were very interesting. Has been just to say that as other judges pointed out, probably a common on the evaluation and from the presentation view would be a great aspect, a great thing to work on, because 8 minutes is a key aspect of this event. I think that 8 minutes is a good time because it keeps your attention high, so it doesn't make you distract or whatever. But we have to make all the judges on the same level and not rely on their personal experience of postal logistics aspect. So that was great, and just this to improve for next time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. So there are a few takeaways which I think are really relevant for the startups. It's not only for this competition; it's in general. When you address a postal logistics company, there are some things that I think, need to be on the table for at least the first discussion or a pitch. And I think what we've heard today, a few things that we're not always missing. So there were startups that were talking about it, but sometimes those things seem to be a bit unclear. Key differentiators to competitors in the market, for example. I think this is really interesting because there are some solutions where you have somebody else in the market. So why is your solution actually the one that should capture the interest of the logistics industry? The stage of the development and deployment, I think that is really relevant as well, because yes, there are some ideas. I think all the startups from which we have heard today have something developed, have something in the market, have something in testing, but the level is different. There is a question of having something already deployed in 2 or 3 companies, of having something tested in 2 or 3 pilots, or in just implementing the first pilot, for example. So this is also very interesting, maybe to put on the table to see, is there already a use case, and are there already some learnings from a use case that would make it easier also for the judges to deal with it. The business case behind it, the economic model, the monetization of the solution. This was also something that came up a couple of times in the discussion with the judges, and it was also mentioned now. So maybe just for the startups in the future, and also for those that listen today and will pitch tomorrow, maybe these are points you can also reflect on during your presentation quickly. And as I said, it would make it easier for the judges, but also for anybody else who listens sometimes, to see the market value or the business model that you are selling and where in the market you stand, also with regard to development, for example. I think we are very, very good in time. Maybe before we close the session today, Thierry, as the chair of the judging panel, your impression of the first day and your recommendations for tomorrow. Anything that you expect from tomorrow to for the judges or for the startups?
Yes, so first, thanks, Bernhard, for the moderation. Based on what I heard and what I saw today, I think it was a very interesting first day. Good pitches, proper time management, which as Swiss, I very much appreciate.
You like it, huh?
Absolutely. Positive dynamics as well. I particularly enjoyed the interactions between the jury members and the startups, and also glad to hear that some collaboration opportunities will be discussed further offline. Now, concerning tomorrow, I'm really looking forward to the second batch of the pitches. Pay attention to what you heard today in the feedbacks. It might be important, might make the difference potentially. And to all the judges and the startup, I'm just wishing you a very pleasant evening and hope to see you all again tomorrow. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thierry. I also would like to say the same thing, actually, thanking everybody here who participated today. First of all, the startups who made it to this live pitching event, the finalists of our competition. Also the judges, of course, who took the time sitting here, discussing, listening to the pitches and discussing with the startups, giving valuable feedback about what is important for them, thus reflecting what is important to the postal and logistics sector. But I also would like to ask to thank everybody else who listened in, either here on the WebEx platform, but also, of course, all those that joined us via YouTube, the YouTube live stream. In principle, I followed both. I think technology most of the time worked well. Just that one presentation where I think the slides were not shared on YouTube. But in general, it worked, I guess, today. So thank you once again to everybody. We'll be back tomorrow, as Thierry said, with the second batch. We have 6 startups tomorrow to listen to. Again, a round of discussion among the judges, and then the final non-public meeting among the judges to choose the winner. Thank you very much. Be back tomorrow again, 2 p.m. CET. We are looking forward to the second part of this competition. Have a great remaining day. Have a great evening. Thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.